Hey guys, Happy New Year's! Hey, it's 2019, early 2019, January. And unfortunately, we really have to force ourselves to do something that we don't want to do. And it's something that most of us, if we're single, we've got differing degrees of practice on this subject, and if we're married, usually one or the other manages it. Personal finances. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of talk where it's generational and the kids nowadays, that's all crap. I mean, personal finances is just another aspect of life, and any life skill is reflective of the generations of today. There are groups, Generation Xers, Yers, Zers, whatever the hell we want to call them, right? The baby boomers. People generally, when they don't really learn great lessons on financial management, personal financial management, or anything more. People generally that have productive families, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, personal businesses, restaurants, gas stations, mini marts, whatever you want to call them, anything. Productive professional parents that have 4-year higher educations or greater. Often, those practices are viewed by the children, and in some instances, they're then practiced by the children. However, the parents have to force that. The parents or a parent. I grew up watching my father do bills on the dining room table or on the kitchen table. He'd lay them all out. He did it every Sunday. He'd read the op-eds in the newspaper, and then he'd do all the bills, and it took hours. And he did the same with his taxes. And I practiced that myself. To differing degrees with differing intensity. Some months I'm extremely scrutinizing my personal finances on a daily, weekly basis. I'm looking over bank account information. I'm looking at investment holdings that I have, equities, bonds, whatever. I'm watching interest rates. I'm looking at mortgage information, all that crap, right? So at the beginning of this year, it's unfortunate, but tax time is coming up. It's a new year. Here's the crazy part. The government's on hold right now. It's shut down. So you're not going to see reflective changes to tax laws and to your income distribution, right? And your contributions and your withholdings. Potentially for these first few paychecks here, which is a nightmare. And people won't understand that. They'll be like, I was getting the same pay I was getting last year. Because they haven't instituted changes that took effect at the end of this year and are now effective for 2019, right? Now your taxable income is this percent in your bracket. And usually it changes little to none, right? Because we don't have a windfall of cash in our 2019 job. Our income level doesn't change. It carries right over. Maybe you had a bonus at the end of the year. Maybe you're in sales and you hit some type of deliverable. That still is not reflective. And if you are in sales, you're probably reviewing your sales quota, the income that you're making, if you're getting compensation through a fixed type of stream, or if it's purely commission based. If you're making money by your production, which for a lot of folks, the end of the year has a decrease in production. Some industries, that's not the case. And dependent upon the fiscal calendar and the business calendar of your company, January to December, or if it's March to, February, whatever it is, it drives so much, right? So you ramp up toward that end of year, you have to hit quota, you want to be on the platinum or the, emerald sales level so that you hit your biggest contribution for the end of year. You get your biggest bonus, whatever. We all know how some of these things work in some way, shape, or form, or at least at a general level. But personal finances are critical, and this is the time you need to review this stuff. You have to do your taxes in April. You'll get your income forms for last year, right, from the government. Who the hell knows when? They're clearly going to be late. If you prepare your taxes yourself, if you go to a tax preparation specialist, if you use a tax preparation software, multiple methodologies here. I go to a tax accountant. I do my own. I hand do them. I do the easy form. I don't have itemizations. I don't have tons of investments. I don't have tons of assets that I own. I don't have tons of withholdings or distributions. I don't have a family. I don't have children, right? I don't own properties. I don't own assets like boats and cars and investment property, stocks, gold, bonds, multiple retirements, Roth, a 401k, personal retirement savings plan, your medical retirement, right? Or your medical healthcare plan, right? If you have a health savings plan, HSA. All of these things, right? They're boggling to your brain, and it's shit that you have to do outside of what you do every day. But if you eat little chunks of it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, it's much more manageable. Believe me, many of us do not do that. So I want to cover some basic tips for us in 2019. You're starting the new year, right? Here's the first thing you got to do. Review your pay stub. Pull that thing out, and for the next 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe up until late February, whenever the government comes back and they institute whatever changes took place in taxation and legislation last year for withholdings and withdrawals. There was a change that was made for alimony, right? You used to be able to claim the alimony that you paid to your ex-spouse on an annual basis to reduce your taxable income. If you are pre-2019, you continue to do that. You're grandfathered in. If you're getting divorced this year, and I'm telling you, the divorce rates at the end of this year skyrocketed because people wanted to get in prior to this law taking effect, right? After 2019, when you're divorced and you have to pay child support and alimony, and if you don't know, dude, alimony can be massive. $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, $200, $500, right? It's based on your income level and the way that you as a family lived with your total income, yours, your spouse's, whatever, but you're responsible, right? Whatever that dollar amount was, whatever that dollar amount was, you used to be able to claim that as a deduction on your taxes every year prior here. Now, no more. When you pay your wife $24,000 in alimony on top of the child support's never been claimable. Child support disappears. That has never been recognized as a available deduction to claim for your taxes in any year, right? Maybe if you went back a decade or whatever, maybe it was, or longer. It hasn't been. No, it's been way longer than a decade. I've never claimed it. I pay that, right? For alimony, you used to get to reduce your taxable income by whatever amount that you paid your ex-spouse. So if you paid her $24,000, you could apply that to the amount of gross income that you made for the year, and it would reduce that, right? Can't do it anymore. It's gone. Money out the door, just like child support. Major change. So you have to review your personal pay stub from your employer or employers. It can come in the form of an actual stub, paper. Not much anymore. Your corporation will have accounting software, Ulta Pro or something like that, and it'll produce an electronic version of your stub, just like your annual income information for your taxes. You'll probably be able to get a paper copy. They are by law required to send you paper copies, multiple copies in fact, and they'll provide you with an electronic copy so that while that one shows up in the mail, you can use the electronic one to prepare your taxes, right? Get the paper one if you have to mail them in to submit it, or if you're using an accountant or tax software, you can electronically submit all that. But that stub that shows your withholdings, it shows your gross income, it shows the deductions, it shows your net income, it shows your hourly rate, your salary, all that information. We don't like to look at that too often, but you have to look at it. Look at it this year, look at it in the next couple months when the changes for the year take place. You'll see your federal income tax possibly change, right, the dollar amount. You'll see your Social Security withholdings potentially change, whatever that is. Yet we know most of us won't have any Social Security. It'll be gone by the time we retire. It is what it is. They still withhold those dollars. You have to do that analysis. You'll look at your retirement withholdings. If you got a Roth IRA, if you've got a 401k, if you have insurance withholdings, right? You've got a program where you've got some type of insurance plan against injury, some kind of supplemental for your family that maybe the company provides, right? All that stuff. Your medical withholdings for your medical healthcare coverage, if it's you, if it's your family. Your dental, your vision. All these things you have to review, and you have to validate that they're accurate, that they're potentially the same as last year if you haven't had a change in your base salary or your hourly rate, or if they reflect whatever the minor changes are, including cost of living increase, right? Just for inflation, maybe you got a 3% raise or a 1% raise or whatever. You got to validate that stuff's right. Do it now, do it at the beginning of the year, and then you won't have to worry come March, June, July, August, December, because you had things wrong, right? Or your withholdings were wrong. So you forgot to send your form in. You claimed 7 children, right? When you turned into your HR department, so that you had a huge check. They didn't take anything out of your check, right? For your federal taxes or for your Social Security. Now you're going to owe tons of tax in April. Maybe you want to submit a form and switch that, right? So that the whole year is properly, calculating your check, as opposed to you having to borrow money because come April, you're going to owe $3, $5, $7, $10,000 in taxes because your withholdings were none. So you paid none of whatever potentially you as a single individual, as a single parent with one child, as a joint filer with a husband or a wife or a partner, and no children, multiple children, whatever, right? You have to review that pay stub. I implore you to do that. Ensure that it's correct. Question the things that you're unsure of, how the calculations are made. Some of them are more complex. Your FICA stuff, when it comes to that, right? Your federal withholdings, your Social Security, all that stuff. Usually the FICA holdings are somewhere between, 20, 22, and 26%. So if you take whatever your pay is, right, and there's 2,080 hours in the year, and you break that out so that you have an hourly amount. If you take 23, 24, 25% of whatever that is, that's gone right off the top of whatever your hourly amount is, right? And then whatever additional withholdings you'll have for your medical, your dental, your vision, if it's a family plan, your investment components, if you've got 401k retirement, a Roth retirement, if you've got anything in there, those further reduce whatever that final pay is. You got to validate all that. All of it, right? Critical. Item 1. And that won't be easy. It may take some time, but it sets you up to properly manage the rest of the year for your critical income stream or streams, right? Number 2, review all the accounts that you have. If you don't have, most families have one or the other parent that does all of the finances. Complete failure. I understand that's the way it works. It should never work that way. You should have some type of joint interaction where everyone even the older children are aware of what's going on in the household, right? What are the contributions? What's the income? What are the expenses? What are the debits, right? What are the debits that are flexible, like entertainment, like travel or leisure, like eating out, like incidentals, expenses like, your contact lenses or your vitamins that you get or whatever. And then the staples, the critical, right? I have to pay the mortgage. I have to pay the car payments. I have to pay insurance, both health, home, car. I have to pay a specific amount for school, for the kids' school, for monthly expenses, for the clothing, for the food, grocery shopping, for the water, for the heat, right? For cable. Luxury, still a fixed expense, right? Usually, unless you have Comcast, I don't know, or Infinity, right? Fucking goes up by $10 every month. You have to review those have to be known to the family, and you have to continue to look at those through intervals throughout the year. Quickly, they will eat up all your money. Gym memberships, things that we haphazardly sign up for, and now it's a monthly debit. $35 a month to Globo Gym, boop, and it's gone, and you're like, shit, where's all my money go, huh? Before you know it, right? And then those things that they're not staples, they're not critical expenses, but they sure feel like it. A $4 Starbucks every morning, and then 3 days a week, a Starbucks venti Americano with an inch of Brevi with no foam in the afternoon for $3.99, $3.59. That's $7 a day, man. Woo. So you got to look at all those things. Know what's flexible, know what's not flexible. You have to look at all those accounts. You have to look at your bank account occasionally, maybe not monthly. Maybe you don't balance your checkbook. I think software can do it for many people. I think people that allow software to do it have an import right from their bank account. And there's a ton of them out there. There's a ton of software accounts, software applications that will manage your money for you. If you're willing to let someone, something, some company do that, if you're willing to have all of your financial information available potentially on the intraweb, the dark net, if it's protected, if you've got services that protect your shit, people won't take your social security number, they won't hack your bank account, the routing number, whatever, they don't know your birth date, up to you. But there is the ability in an automated life to do that. Most people don't do that. Most people don't balance their checkbooks. They validate that they have money in the account, and they hope, or they usually glide through expenses to credits, and often run in a negative, which you have an overdraft on your account, and it will draw from a savings account, or it will apply it to a credit card balance or whatever, and my God, is that the most foolish thing you could ever do. Now they're charging you 15, 20, 22% on that credit card. You're paying the man. And boy, that's how the banks have become bazillionaires. The most powerful institutions on this planet. They are, if you don't understand that. Right behind country governments and maybe country military. Military's a little too stupid. They just want to blow shit up and kill people, right? Banks are, they're dangerous, man. You get some scary banks around the globe and scary people. World manipulators. Anyway, look at your mortgage. Look at your credit cards. Look at your revolving debt, right? Look at your bank accounts. Look at any other type of lines of credit or other accounts that you have, like a Home Depot card or anything like that, a line of credit through a bank. Anything that's a potential account that has a debit or a credit applied to it. If they gave you a loan or if you put money into this thing. Review all of those, right? Validate their balances, validate whatever you're being charged to have that account, if it's big, if it's little, right? Any of that. Go into your banking institutions. Wells Fargo or SunTrust or Bank of America or whatever, Capital One. Sit down with the banker. Do a quick review of all the accounts that you have. If it's one and it's a basic checking, if it's a basic checking and a savings, if it's an advanced checking and an advanced savings, where they have interest rates tied to them and they pay you money for the transactions that you perform. And then you've got a business line. You've got a business checking and a business savings account with a credit card and a check ability or whatever. You can dab and then you get money back, right? For all your credit card purchases. You see the ads on TV, it's silly, that's the way they sell it. With all the purchases I made last year, the $38,000 that I got back from Capital One, I used to pay for my small company's health care, all 11 employees. Okay, if that's what you're doing, most of us aren't. Some of us, many of us are. Small businesses selling insurance or selling equities or annuities or self-employed. Got a janitorial service, got a home improvement service, got a babysitting, a tutoring, whatever service, right? On the side, doing that on top of your own job, doing a podcast, playing music, writing books, whatever. Review all that. Make sure that it's accurate for the year. Question what you don't understand. Question anomalies. You have to spend a moment to do this or you're a victim. You have no legs to stand on when you don't have money. Uncle Sam taxes you too much. What happened? People yell. They feel like they've been attacked or that a wrong has occurred. The wrong is that you're not paying attention to the things that you're directly responsible for. Your personal health and welfare. Just like this thing you got to take care of, you got to take care of all your own finances. And if you don't know how to do it, it's quite easy to learn the basics. Look at any investment vehicles that you have. If you've got equities, meaning stocks, if you've got bonds, if you own investment properties, if you have bigger assets like a car, another car, a motorcycle, a boat, a four-wheeler, right? Whatever. How are those things insured? Are they insured? Are they paid for? Are you making revolving payments on those? All of that you should review. Is it through multiple institutions, multiple lending institutions, right? Spend a weekend, a Saturday, and start to collect this information. Pull it all together, collate it all, and then over the course of a couple hours here and there, or an hour here and there, comb through each piece. Because when you do your taxes, you should do the same in a summarized and then a detailed format. And that finishes your tax year for last year, in which case you will owe money or you will receive money back from the federal and, if applicable, state tax institutions. I'm in Florida, no state tax. Woo, it's awesome. State tax is retarded. But the state's sort of retarded. 20 years behind, right? Spend time and look through those accounts. Do it now. Do it before you receive your last year income summarizations. Do it before you prepare your taxes. Even if you bought your TurboTax software or you're using your H&R Block, or you set up an appointment for February 29th. I think this year's a leap year, with your tax accountant, your tax preparer individual. Get it in order. Spend a minute. Check it out. Do it. Do the minimum at least, and then try to do more. Okay? And here's the bottom line. If you don't have a budget, and a budget is just your credits and your debits primarily, and then these other tools that sit behind it, like investment tools or revolving accounts or whatever, lines of credit, other sources of income, right? Your parents give you money. You get alimony. You're a woman that gets alimony from a man, right? You get child support. You get an inheritance. If you don't know how those work, you should. You can't just sit there and say, I got money in my account. Why? How? Right? See if you have a basic spreadsheet or a piece of software, or you have your accountant that has a fundamental budget for you, so that on a daily, weekly, monthly, and annual basis, you can see your income and your credits to your personal finances, and then your debits everywhere the money goes. And then what you have is available savings accounts, revolving debt accounts, what you owe and how much longer on your car, your house. If you paid at the end of last year one mortgage payment on your 30-year fixed, let's hope it's not a balloon, right? It's not a zero down. It's not an interest only. It's not a coffee loan. Dude, all that stuff's still back. They renamed it. It's the same shit. You are paying no money on your property. You're simply paying to live in the house that you think you own. Silly person. But if you look at all that and you say, on my 30-year fixed, I'm going to pay one mortgage payment extra at the end of 2018 from the bonus I got from work, and you put your $2,647.68 down, and you write on it, principal only. I want none of this payment, it's an extra payment, to go to the interest on my mortgage. I want it to pay down principal. Do that every year and see how it impacts your freaking mortgage. Your freaking principal amount that you owe on the house, beyond the interest, which you're paying on every monthly payment, diminishes radically. Before you know it, you've got 40, 50, 60, 80% equity in your house. It's yours. The bank comes, you go, yeah, take the back 20%. The backyard, the kitchen, because that's all you owe. I owe 80% of this mofo. Get to stepping. You can get a line of credit from another bank to pay that off. And you can say to that bank, I owe you nothing. This is my house. And then Sears or whomever, Capital One, Wells Fargo, they'll go, oh yeah, well, we now own 20%. And you go, okay, you own 20% of my house, but you seem to be favorable in working with me as a lender and I, a debtor, right? So be smart about that. Look at all that stuff and set a basic budget up so you know what you're doing with your money coming in and going out. How can you live if you don't know that? If you're spending through a credit card, dude, these things are dangerous. A credit and a debit card. Now, you walk up to the register and it's got the little pad and you go, bloop, all the ads on TV. Ha ha. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, did you do that again? How'd you do that? Boop. It's nothing. It just swipe. No. There's transactions behind that where you owe us. I hope you have money in your account. I can guarantee you Aaron Rodgers has money in his account. Or Eli Manning. Me and you? We don't make $1,000 an hour. We don't make professional athlete, Hollywood star, major politician dollars. We have to manage our money like every other family, like every other person, right? So be smart about all that and don't be silly. Don't be ignorant and not understand what the hell's going on when you do anything financially, personally or family-wise. If you own a business and you have a professional aspect to your finances, it's a whole other animal, and I'm not going to cover it here. This is for individuals just maintaining their financial health and welfare personally. And personally for you and your spouse, your partner, and your children, or whatever you have, your pet, whatever you want to call it. That's not hard. It takes time and effort, not a lot. It's not hard. You just have to pay attention to it. So all this stuff's lining up for April, man. Paying for your taxes, right? And maybe you'll request a continuance, you'll pay later. Maybe you're, as I stated, you're in sales, or you're self-employed and you're paying taxes quarterly. You send money to the government every quarter, an estimation of what it's going to be, and at the end of the year, you true that up, right? I paid you guys $4,567 every 3 months. The total's this. You say I made this much from what I claimed and from what my company or whatever claimed, and I would owe that. What's the difference? I owe you more, you owe me some. Right? however you do it. And that's if you have an LLC, if you have an S Corp, if you have whatever, right? Which could be on top of your own job. So now you got to pay your taxes for your employer, and then you have to pay your taxes for your personal company that you run. Things can get really complex, and people that are doing that pay people to do it or are very, very able and very scheduled and organized in tracking that. And it doesn't take a lot. It just needs to be applied in a scheduled and organized manner. And you're taking my word for it, dude. I'm no rock star, and I've done that, right? So you have to spend some time and review your personal finances. And then the ultimate goal here, you have to set up some goals, right? For your personal finances, short-term, midterm, and long-term. Short-term, what's your short-term goals? We know that Johnny has to go to Grandma and Grandpa's in May. So we have to save $360 for his plane ticket. We have to give him $250 in spending money. We want him to take Grandma out for dinner for another $50. Blah blah blah. So we have to purchase the ticket by March. We have to have money for him in May. So how do we save to that, right? Your first month or your first 3 months of expenses and credits, income you're making and money you're spending. What's your plan on that? Is it a wash? Are you saving 5%, 10% each week, each bi-weekly, each month? What are you doing? Is that on top of your 401k or money that you're saving for you, for the kids, for an endowment for education, for an extra mortgage payment, whatever, right? Short term. We've got to go down to West Palm Beach. We're going to a party. I have to purchase champagne. I have to rent a tuxedo. We have to rent a suite for the night. How much is that? $700. Do I want to sling it on a credit card and not care about it, or do I want to pay for it? Short-term personal financial management. Midterm, 6 months, a year, right? Do I want to put any savings that I have in a certificate of deposit where it's making some type of percentage of return? There's been no percentage returns on savings accounts or CDs for a decade, ever since the financial crash. It's coming back. What are you doing short term to maybe make money? Are you day trading? Are you looking at your stocks monthly, quarterly, changing them, reviewing them, seeing what's playing well, what's not doing well? Are you buying and holding? Is that your long-term plan with your equities? You don't even pay attention to it. You look at it once a year. You look at your statements, you're fine. You feed that from TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, whatever, into your income software for your taxation, and it calculates it. Good. If it's meeting the goals that you need, fine. If you're 25, 45, or 65, different goals. I need that money when I'm 65 because I have to live off it. When I'm 25, it's drinking money. It's for me to party, hang out with my girlfriends, travel, buy my freaking charger, whatever, right? When you're 45, it's your family, it's a vacation, it's taking care of your mother, right? Who's gonna come live with you, whatever. All those considerations are different. You have to tie them in to that midterm to long-term plan. Midterms upwards of a year, right? How are you making money? Is your stuff safe? How are you preparing for emergencies? A loss of a job, some kind of ailment, sickness. Do you have insurance to cover that? That's also long-term, right? What happens if I'm out for a year? What happens if I have a catastrophic injury? What happens if I get a catastrophic disease like cancer and I have to go to 13 or 26 weeks of chemotherapy? Now what do? Can we live? Will I lose my job? You shouldn't. They should put you in some type of, they should deactivate your, active status in your company and then bring you back if you're alive. Most companies do that. Just like, if you're pregnant, who knows? You need to prepare for those things. And then long term, when you're 45, when you're 25, you're having fun, you're saving some money. You're saving some money and you're not touching it. It's going to an account or a place that's never going to see light until you need that money. Maybe it's $20 or $100 a month. whatever, right? And then you review that once a year, once every 3 or 4 years. It's in a vehicle that's safe, like T-bills or bonds. It'll never, it doesn't have the potential to really ever, because it's government backed, ever be lost. It's not in stock, right? And if it's in stock, it's in blue chip. It's in the stuff that'll never go under, like Facebook. But you gotta review all that, and you've gotta set up those plans, short-term, mid-term, long-term plans, and then readjust those as you age, as certain things occur in your life, as you have different wants, needs, and desires. That's the way you gotta work this. It's the beginning of the year. Let's do it. Let's be healthy about it. Let's be smart. Send me comments, subscribe, like, do what you gotta do. I hope you enjoy.